Good morning. How is everybody? Hearts already? I barely started. I like that you're grading on a curve today. Good morning, good morning. How's everybody feeling about the presidential polls? Everything looking good? Happy birthday, Shugal. Slovenia. Good morning, good morning. Should we believe that LA Times poll? So why would it be that one poll has them up and the others don't? Yeah, the third act is fun to watch, isn't it? Assassination. No, I don't think Clinton has a third act. Thanks for buying my book. Yeah, the swing states are all that matters, I guess, and he's down in the swing states. So, is it my imagination, or is Hillary nowhere to be seen? So, I don't know if any of you remember, but it was months ago, back in 2015, when one of my predictions was, I think it was 2015, one of my predictions was that by the end, people would say that Trump was running unopposed. Now, when you see Trump's schedule and how busy it is and how public he is, and when you see Clinton's schedule of, I don't know where she is right now, doing some private fundraisers or something, does it feel to you, as of right now, does it feel to you that Trump is sort of running unopposed? I mean, she's still ahead in the polls in general. But doesn't it seem like he's running unopposed? Is it too early to say I called that one right? Well, thank you. I assume you saw my interview. I got interviewed in the Wall Street Journal. If you haven't seen that yet, you can find that on my Twitter feed. Or just Google my name and Wall Street Journal. It should pop up. Fundraiser in Amsterdam? What? Trump, Hillary wins 320 in the Electoral College. Yeah, unless something changes. She's far ahead in the Electoral College, according to the polls. How do I predict everything right? There's some tricks to it. I'll tell you later. Who is Scott Adams? I am 59. She may be croaked. From Cyprus. Hey, Cyprus. So here's something I've been thinking about lately, now that we've got a few hundred people here. So you remember your history lessons, and you know that the United States, the United States is a republic and not a direct democracy, meaning that we elect our representatives and then they go make decisions for us. But that was before the internet. And I would argue that Trump is the first direct democracy president. Now, people are calling him a populist. But watch what's happened since he announced his run and how his policies have changed. And you would find that his policies have changed almost directly because of the internet. Sometimes it's because of poll numbers, as reflected on the internet and other places. But sometimes it's because of better arguments on the internet, the way the internet framed something, either positively or negatively, caused him to either avoid it or embrace it. So I would say that Donald Trump represents the beginning of direct democracy. Take a look at his change on deportation. There's a conversation now, I don't know if this is verified yet, but things on the internet, You can't trust, but let's say it's true, just for conversation. The thing I'm talking about is I saw something on the internet that Trump was having at least private conversations on the topic of using Mexican embassies as a place to deport so-called illegal Mexicans who are in the country. Now, the benefit of that is that they wouldn't have to go all the way back to Mexico. Once you get into an embassy, you're on foreign territory. So you are effectively deported, if we want to call it that. I have extended that idea because there aren't enough embassies to say that we should pass a law to temporarily make all post offices temporary Mexican embassies. Now, they would still be post offices, but you could go into the post office / Mexican embassy and ask for a form to fill out if you want to self-deport. And in this case, self-deporting means you just walk to the post office and filled out a form. That's it. That's as hard as it gets. But once you're in the system, then you're still going to have to pass background checks and demonstrate that you haven't gone to jail and stuff. And if you do all that, then there's some process for staying as a non-resident, I guess. So I think that's what Trump is heading to. Now, here's the interesting thing. If that's how it turns out, a lot of people will be mad, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you're going to see that it was sort of a clever solution, and it at least got us off the dime and got us moving in the right place. And you would also see that the internet was behind it. Because when I say an idea like that, the internet instantly says either that's a great idea or that's a terrible idea. And if more people say it's a good idea, that idea travels. People share it, they talk about it. So any good idea now, in the age of the internet, will travel as far as the idea is worthy. So if you've got a small, worthy idea, your friends are going to talk about it. They're going to tweet about it. They're going to share it on social media. And if other people like it, they'll share it too. So we've reached the point where the republic is irrelevant, meaning that our politicians don't go off to make decisions as best they see it, nor do we really want them to. They go off and make decisions based on what the public and social media tells them to do, because to do otherwise would be political suicide now. So I would argue that we've reached a point of direct democracy, meaning that the internet tells the politicians what to do, and then they watch them do it. So Trump is the first pure example of that, and it's primarily because he's trying to get elected as an outsider, so naturally he's going to look at social media and the things that are outside the system a little more than someone who's inside the system, like Clinton. Clinton can go the traditional way of raising money from special interests and using your insider connections and all that stuff. But 4chan. Well, I don't think it's 4chan, but I do think any good idea will travel. Over 2,000 Tinder matches. That would be good. I'm not on Tinder, by the way, if anybody's wondering. I said our representatives are supposed to act on our interest, and until now that's never happened. Yeah, bad ideas float to the top too, but here's how you deal with bad ideas that float to the top. All ideas need to be tested, and they should be tested small. You could test with a small state, or you could look at what another country's doing and use that as your test. But bad ideas can be tested, and they can be tested small. Any other precedents of this working? Of what working? The direct democracy? I don't think so, because it's too recent that it could work because of the internet. Do I actually predict, or is this all part of some persuasion scheme on your part? Well, you're watching me predict, right? I literally say, I predict X, Y, Z, and then you can see that X and Y happen, but not a Z. So if I had to guess, I think I'm around 2 out of 3 this year. Yeah, we have a lot of direct referendums here as well. Portugal decriminalized and it worked out well. Yeah, I've read that. If Trump wins, he'll be a typical politician. I kind of doubt that. I haven't heard from Milo. Well, I'm glad you're getting your coffee at the same time as me. What should Hillary do to offset the third act? Well, so here's an interesting thing. I watched Trump's speech last night. I don't know if you did. No, I don't think Hillary has a catheter. I've seen the pictures on the internet of what looks like a wrinkle in her pants, and it looks like an IV bag on her leg. And there isn't one of those pictures that looks even a little bit persuasive to me. It all looks like confirmation bias to me. It's not impossible, but if you're telling me that you think it's true because you saw the pictures, no, sorry. The pictures are ambiguous at best. Anyway, what I was going to say is that if you saw Trump, his speech, I guess was yesterday or last night, he was ramping up the energy big time. Bigly, as he would say, or big league, as he would say, but people think he says bigly. Avocado smoothie. No, but it's a good idea. You notice his energy is way up? Trump is practically shouting now, rah, 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 rah. Super energy, super energy. Why is he doing that? He always had high energy, and energy's good. But why is he being extra energetic now? Will anybody tell me? Tell me. Why is Trump being extra energetic? Ron Hubbard was a hypnotist. I didn't know that. I knew it by reading his book. I didn't know it by background. So that would be new to me. But I knew it by reading his book, yeah. Dianetics is hypnosis. Because Hillary can't stand. Exactly. Contrast. So what Trump is doing is he's being super energetic, visiting he's probably packing his schedule, doing more interviews. So the more she's gone, exactly, the contrast. So the more Clinton does not appear in public, the more Trump is, and the more energetic he is, and the more he will say things like, she doesn't have the stamina, the physical or mental stamina. You notice now that I'm not making that up, am I? I think he turned it into, it used to be just stamina, and now he has clarified the mental or physical stamina. So he's clearly calling out mental stamina. This is raising money in Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, I wonder if that involves a lot of sitting down. Trump knows more about her health than the media. That is certainly true. Trump is running unopposed, as I predicted. Thank you for noticing. Yeah, I was just saying that before you got on this Periscope. I was saying exactly the same thing. Why do you say Hillary, in general, is a conspiracy theory? I say conspiracy theory in the sense that there's definitely something wrong with Hillary's health. And you can say that with some confidence just because she's a certain age and she doesn't look too spry. And the things she's admitted are actual health problems. So there's no question that she has imperfect health. The big question is how imperfect, in what ways, does it matter if you're the president, those sort of things. My prediction is that it's substantial and it matters and that voters will care. But if you look at the evidence, there's a lot of grainy photographic evidence of this or that, and I would say that they are not persuasive to me. Hand on head. It's much better this way. So I always do my left hand. Usually I rub my head and talk like this. It feels really good. The media travels with her, and they do know. If you want your dreams, you can build it. My biceps. Breitbart isn't all conspiracy. They also have articles about me. His ad, please. Which ad? Is there a new one? She's on Coumadin. Meme magic? Well, I think memes can be influential to some extent. Gawker is going down the tubes. Well, the Gawker Corporation is for sale, but they're going to flush the actual Gawker media site down the toilet. So they have one turd left, which is Jezebel. So I would say Univision is one turd away from doing it right. Now, I did go pretty hard at Univision on Twitter, and I have already written some jokes about Dilbert's company buying a company that doesn't have a name like Gawker, but you might recognize it as not too far off. And it's the worst part about a girl giving Willie Nelson a BJ. Well, you have to tell me. Just smell the stuff off the toilet. Yes, thank you, Peter Thiel. Of course I would go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Is that Jezebel girl who swore you on Twitter somebody who knows you? No, it's not somebody who knows me. I mean, not somebody who knows me personally. I did not watch the fight. Who is this guy? It's in the title. Coumadin is serious stuff, huh? I think I was invited on the Jay Thomas show, and I can't remember why I didn't do it. I think I had to go to L.A. or something. Are you biased because you bet on Trump? Yes. Have you seen Stranger Things? No, but weirdly enough, I was hovering over it last night on my TV, ready to push the button, and I didn't. Who would you like to be interviewed by? Now, I've been interviewed maybe 1,000 times, so I don't really have a great desire to be interviewed by anybody. Why, if you don't know who he is, Google him. Oh, thank you for reading my book. You bet hundreds of dollars because of me? Well, you should cash out now while you're up, if you are. I should go back on Bill Maher? Maybe. Would I take a press appointment if a winning candidate asked me? No. Trump's outrich blacks. Will it work? Yes, it will work. It won't work, 100%, but he only has to get, he needs to chip a percentage from this group, 1% from that group. He only needs to chip 2% from every group, right? And then he wins. Think about that. So I think the polls will close to the point where Trump is, let's say, within four points of Clinton in most places. Let's say, just for convenience, that the battleground states close to that point too. If there's a 4-point difference in the poll, it only takes 2% to switch sides, and it's tie. So Trump needs to convince only 2% of every demographic group. So he just has to get 2% more women. Well, actually, 2% more women would get him halfway there. But if you got 2%, African Americans and 2% more Latinos, etc., he wins. Just 2%. Now, I've told you that Trump is a great persuader, and some of you have also heard my general rule of thumb that a great persuader can persuade 20% of any crowd of anything. You can convince anyone of anything, well, not anyone, a crowd, you can convince 20% of them of anything. So he only needs to be 10% as effective as that. How hard is that? So yes, I'm going to say landslide for Trump. Do you think Godzilla has gone quiet? Absolutely not. What would I do if I were to advise Trump? Well, he's already doing what everyone advised him to do, which is to try to act not so crazy and not so dangerous for 2 months. Just think about the hurdle that each candidate has. All right, now, if things stay exactly the same, Clinton has no hurdle at all. If nothing changed, she would win because she's ahead in the polls. But things always change, so she can't count on things staying the same. So if things change, what types of things could change? On Clinton's side, what positive thing could she do that would make a difference? Well, I can't think of any. There's no like big act she could do, no apology for this or new program. There's almost nothing she can do at this point that would be a big surprise that would change things. But on the other side, Trump has this incredibly interesting situation which he has created on his own. He has set the bar so low that if he were to simply do okay in the first debate, it would seem like this amazing progress and people would suddenly take him far more seriously, and it's probably enough to win the whole thing. So all Trump has to do is prepare for the debate. In other words, all Trump has to do is what everyone who does a debate does. Just prepare. That's it. That's all he would have to do to become president. Just take a few hours, prepare for a debate, and he'll exceed expectations and win. He might not even need to do that. He might be able to just do his normal Trump debate and get a lot of energy and get a lot of eyeballs and control the conversation. But if he also just doesn't act crazy for 2 months, that's probably enough. People are watching, and if he doesn't act crazy for 2 months with so much scrutiny on him, people are going to say, oh, I get it. He was just acting in the first part of the election, and he can turn it on or off, and he's not so scary. And by the way, the internet has shaped his policies, so they started out really scary, but now they're somewhat moderate and more in the middle. So 2 months of that, and he wins in a landslide. That's all it would take. So think about that. What it would take for Hillary to win is for nothing big to change. But that can't happen. Something big will change. Now, it could be a big change in her favor, but something big is going to change in the next two months. There'll be new information, new gaffes, new terror attacks, new everything, right? New WikiLeaks, you never know. So the case for Clinton winning, I suppose there's a 50% chance there could be a positive surprise for her, but that would require Trump to melt down, which is possible. What it takes for Trump to win is just not acting crazy and preparing a little bit, just a little bit, for the debate so he can outperform. That's it. He becomes president of the goddamn United States by just not acting crazy for 2 months. Do you think he can do that? If you're, you have to think he's pretty crazy to not do that. You want to see Snickers? She's sleeping over there. But no landslide? There is a landslide if she's not healthy enough to run. Do I expect people to copy my style of political analysis? Well, you're already seeing that. You're seeing a lot of it this election. Ivanka be the first female president? If Clinton doesn't win, she'd still want to. She'd have to want to run, and I'm not seeing that in her. It's disturbing how accurate what is. Yes, they're ripping you off. It's. I appreciate that you say that the other analysts are ripping off my type of analysis, but that's actually completely okay in this realm because I wouldn't write anything if I didn't want people to like it and be influenced by it and think at least it was a good thought. So the worst case scenario is I write something and nobody copies it. That would be the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is that people write about it and they only reference me, and every time they write about it, they say, well, this isn't an original thought. I'm being influenced by this other guy. But that's not the real world. In the real world, first of all, people have the same idea everywhere. So it doesn't mean I'm Jake Novak literally copying your work. I've heard people say that, but he's not me. Yeah, exactly. It's not like I own the concept of persuasion. So everybody has a fair access to that topic. Is Hillary scared of the debates? Absolutely. I think they're all scared of the debates. So I don't think she's especially afraid. Hillary in a winter coat. What? Somebody knows who the prime influencer is. Overplaying their outrage? Well, I'll tell you where they... I hate to use the phrase jumping the shark, because jumping the shark is like jumping the shark itself. It's like a self-canceling phrase now. By the time you say something is jumping the shark, you, the observer, have jumped the shark by saying that. Here's where I think the media jumped the shark. I think that when Trump said his regret speech and the media said, you have not apologized the right way, they were done. And that was the trick. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Didn't you think that? Let me ask you that. So when you saw the media criticize Donald Trump not for his apology, but for it not being good enough, didn't you think that was like the point where everybody said, "Oh, fuck you," right? Didn't you feel like the whole world, just watching CNN and watching him, saying he regretted the words, couldn't have been more clear? I said the wrong words. I regret it. Can't get more clear than that. And the whole world just said, "That's not a good enough apology. Do you mean it? Who are you talking about?" And I think that was a trap. I think that just made his critics look ridiculous. Because it's one thing to ask for an apology. That's fair. We live in a world where apologies are a real thing. They make a difference. It does change things when people apologize. And so he did. And then people said, that's not a good enough apology. And at that point, the critics were ridiculous. They just became ridiculous. Yeah. Or say he was racist, ask for black votes. I haven't heard that opinion yet, but that sounds like something that could happen. Don Lemon is in a tough situation. All right, you all know who Don Lemon is, right? The host on CNN. And it's I don't think he's hiding the fact that he's anti-Trump. It's not his job to have an opinion. He's trying to report on the news. But he's not hiding it that he thinks Trump is a horrible racist and he doesn't want him to be president. But when Trump expressed his regrets and when he started acting like he was a more reasonable, less insulting kind of candidate, I swear to God, I saw panic in Don Lemon's face right after his regret speech, because that's the first time that he realized that their biggest weapon against him was being blunted. All right, you can't have a weapon if your opponent takes it away. And he was taking away the "I'm so terrible, I insult people" thing by simply saying he regretted it and cleaning up his act. So it's the main thing that the other side says. All right, you asked for it. Here it is. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes, Snickers. Look at the people who are looking at you, Snickers. 500 people are looking you in the eye right now. Yeah, she does have two different colored eyes. You can't see it as clearly there. But I think you can clearly see she's looking at all of you. Okay, that's typical dog behavior. She's a toy Australian Shepherd, yes. Yeah, I've got a big backyard. She has to go out there a few times a day. Thanks. Glad you saw the Stefan Molyneux talk. I was saying about Don Lemon. I didn't finish my thought about him. So he's in a tough situation because it's his job to be objective, but I don't think he feels that. This is just me reading into it. So I don't believe people can read minds, so don't take too much away from this. But it looks like he's got this dilemma because I think he genuinely thinks it would be a horrible thing if Trump got elected. So, so I think he feels he can't be objective. You'd fuck what guy? Maddox is crazy. I turned her on once. Don Lemon is 50. He's in good shape. Can Trump fix healthcare? Beats me. I love Ann Coulter's writing style, which is different than agreeing with her all the time. But her writing is amazing. Yeah, they're all biased. I mean, that's built into the human condition, right? Trying to connect him to eugenics. How do you feel about being a hero to the alt-right? I don't even know what the alt-right is. I felt bad for a while that people kept referring to the alt-right, and I didn't know what it was. It was like conservative. For most of this year, I didn't know what a conservative was. I wasn't sure what definition people were using. And I'm still not sure I know exactly what it is. I think it's just something people make up. But same thing with the alt-right. What the hell is the alt-right? The alt-right is a made-up thing. Do the alt-right call themselves the alt-right? Because I thought it was like some weird grab bag of people, basically just guys, right? Like the alt-right is guys who like guys and women who like those guys, basically. Is that a good definition of the alt-right? It's men who like men. I mean, not in a gay way necessarily, but they just like men, and it's women who like men. As opposed to the opposite of the alt-right would be people who think that male behavior perhaps is something to be suppressed. The new Trump nickname, Humble Trump. That won't stick. Oh, the real right versus the paid right. Yeah, there's no definition of all right. It's a pejorative. We do value more masculine values. You mean the all right? Yeah. But beyond that, what other definition is there? Well, thank you. There are definitions in blogs. But I'll bet there are grab bag definitions. How many of the definitions are like, of all right, sounds something like this? Well, it's group X plus group Y that has nothing to do with X, plus group Z that has nothing to do with group X and group Y. What the hell kind of group is that? That it's a group of different people that have nothing in common. Non-mainstream conservatism. That's a very big group. Is it a group to say you're not part of a group? Sorry. It's possible you are exercising because you read my book. Control right and shift right is mostly the same. Would you be a good speechwriter for Trump? I don't know. I never tried to write a political speech. You okay? I am okay. I'm in perfect health. Why the coughing? The coughing is, you don't want to know. But I'm in perfect health. Do you believe the LA Times poll that says Trump is up 2? I'm going to say I don't believe that one. Adam Stool. Would you co-write with Godzilla? I don't like co-writing. I have pitched him a Dilbert movie lots of times. What about Cuban? What about it? Do you think Trump is close to condescending? Isn't he doing the opposite? Because condescending, I mean, when he says, what the hell have you got to lose? Is that condescending? It doesn't really sound condescending to me. It doesn't register that way. You like the handwritten commentary? Why don't I believe the polls? I do believe the polls. I believe that, in the sense that I believe that he's a little bit behind in the, certainly in the battleground states. But I think there might be a hidden Trump vote in there somewhere. Now, I've seen articles saying that when you really dig in, there's no hidden Trump vote because the online and the phone polls show the same thing. I guess if you dig to the next layer, you see that they actually get the same result. Here's what I think. I think that no one who answers an online poll or who answers a phone poll believes that they have confidentiality. In the old days, I think you did. In the old days, maybe if you did an online poll, you thought, oh, nobody's watching me. But now we know somebody's watching you. We know at least the government is watching you, or they could. Maybe hackers are watching you. There's no real limit to how many people might be watching you. So the idea that people would give a different answer on the phone than they would on an online poll might be dated. It might be that in the old days that was true, but today people just assume there's no privacy. So if you didn't want people to know you were voting for Trump, you might not say it in any form. You might not write it on the internet. You might not say it out loud on the phone. So I think the polls are right in the sense that everybody who answered the poll, they probably wrote it down correctly, Yeah, I hear people talking about undersampling and stuff, but I'm not sure I believe that. Yeah, I think there is a shy Trump vote. But how big it is the question. Would I move to Peter Thiel's artificial island if it was awesome? Yeah, those naked statues of Trump, the life-size naked statues of Trump in the various cities, was terrible persuasion because it made him an object of sympathy. And it also ruined the brand of the other side. The other side was the anti-body shamer side. And they made as one of their, I mean, it wasn't Clinton's decision, it was people who support her. But they really threw her under the bus with that. Because as soon as you add body shaming to your brand is worthless. I mean, the Democratic brand, imagine if the Democrat brand suddenly included body shaming. The whole thing falls apart. So whoever did those naked Trump statues totally fucked the Clinton side. Sorry. This is the most work I've ever seen anybody do to damage their own side. I mean, that was a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of effort to damage the other side, to damage their own side, I mean. Yeah, they should have hated it. The small hands thing is also body shaming, yeah. That came originally from the right, though, so that wasn't as much of a brand violation as it was coming from the left. But they picked it up, you're right. The left picked up that insult. uh, oh, you've seen lots of backlash about the statues? Good. Good. Well, they should be protecting their brand, and they should be disavowing those statues. By the way, has Hillary disavowed the statues? She needs to. Let me put this out there. There must be enough journalists reading this that they can get this question to Hillary Clinton or the surrogates. Does Hillary Clinton disavow the big naked fat statues of Trump that her supporters are putting around the cities? If she doesn't disavow it, then she's destroyed her brand. If she does disavow it, she's going to be shit-talking her own supporters. But that's the only choices you have. She did disavow the Orlando shooter's dad. Okay, well, she's got a little more disavowing to do. I mean, her people did something that was front page news for a full week. Those are her people. How much visible support for the candidates have you seen? Personally, I haven't really seen much where I am. When Trump goes normal, nobody talks about him. Yeah, a lot of secret Trump supporters. Isn't it odd that Cialdini hasn't denied he's Godzilla? Well, have you noticed that? Indeed, there is no denial. You know what's even weirder is since we know he's seen it, no denial. How about that? Do you disavow the dill burrito? I do. It's a compliment. Am I periscoping? I think the real reason is because I like it. And some of it is practice. I was kind of interested to see how much I liked the live form, because I'm toying with the idea of doing a podcast of my own, but it seems like a lot of work. This is easy. I just hit a couple of buttons on my phone and I'm live to the world. Yeah, I don't know if I have enough time or interest to do a podcast. I really like this live, casual approach. My 2020 campaign strategy. Trump versus Cialdini, who'd you bet on? It depends if it's a live conversation or written. Academically, Cialdini, far better. Dvorak talks about me a little bit. I've had lunch with John Dvorak. Norm, that's a random thing. Periscope is better than podcast? I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, I went from not being able to speak, literally, to doing this. Will the persuaded turn out to vote? That's the big question. Trump's debate skills, probably better just because he spent more time on the trail. My profile's rising. Thank you for reading my books, God's Debris and The Religion War. I never met Carol Burnett. Strange question. You talk different here, do I? In what way? Oh, lower, yeah. Yeah. Part of that is because I'm talking to my phone. So my impression is that I'm talking to something that's literally 1 foot away. When I get interviewed, because the other person is also talking, even if they're on my computer or on Skype or something, I have the impression that they're further away or farther away than this. And so I think I speak up. Plus, I just have higher energy when someone else is interviewing me. Do you replay these periscopes? No, I don't. All right, I get around. No, I'm not using an external mic. Never met Richard Bach. All right, yeah, I'm a little low energy. I'm going to go have some more coffee, and I will see all you people later.